Okay, guys, we are back. So I was actually looking over, and something I meant to talk about was ordering. When I say ordering, I don't mean like ordering a pizza. No, I mean, you bastard, Unity. Ordering. So watch what happens if I move this player behind here. That happens. But now check this out. If I click on dash, and I change this order layer to 1, but, but the D is behind her. Why is this What is going on here? So the ordering layer, or as I just like to call is ordering, basically defines on what sprite is placed where in front of the camera or behind the camera. It actually defines which ones get rendered first. So one thing I like to do is set the player to like 5. The reason for this is because no matter what I set these other sprites to, the player will always be in front of it. And you might be thinking, well, that's good and groovy for future reference, but what about this game, Jimmy? I thought we didn't have to worry about that since we have 3D elements. This is true, but we're also going to have huts. The player can interact with the huts, and so therefore the huts will be sprite images, not 3D models, or at least the front of the faces will. So that's why it's important, because we want the player to be able to walk in front of the huts and not have this weird issue. So, more so over, if we decide to create grass blades, we're not going to need 3D grass blades. Those will be something that we'll do in a 2D software such as Krita. So you can set the grass blades if they're way up close to the camera and we just see a shadow of them, just a black outline, then say the order in those layers might be 100. So that way those will get rendered first. So that's one thing I was going to talk about. Next thing I want to talk about, animation. This is where we get into it. I bet you guys are like, yay, animation, hoo-hoo. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to go to Window, Animation, Animation. And you can't see this, so I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to say Create. Now, we have this new animation right here, but I don't want it to go into the player script. So I'm going to say Assets, New Folder, Animation, and I'm going to go into this folder. I'm going to create another new folder. This will be called Player Animations. And this will just be called Player Idle. Save. And we're fine with this. We're going to come here, create new clip. Player Jump. I'm fine with this. No, I'm just kidding. So we have this right here. We are going to actually animate the player jumping. For now, I'm not too worried about that. What I want to do is I actually want to add a squash animation. So if I click on the record button, I'm going to say right about half a second, I'm going to squash down, and then that's going to be it. So I'm going to say create new clip. Oh wait, before I do that, I actually need to come back here to jump. I need to grab this last marker that I created. Control C. I'm going to go into create new clip, player jump after, Control V. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to be able to take that keyframe on where I'm starting. I'm going to just go to 1. And we can see on the Y, we'll go ahead and hit the record. And we'll set the Y to 1. And there we go. So why did I do that? Well, the reason why I did this is because inside the animator, we're always going to go to the idle. But then more so over, we're also going to go to jump and then jump after. So we're going to make a transition between these two. As what will happen is we'll start the jump, it will leave this transition and go into the jump after. So it will unstretch. And because this does have exit time, we're going to make sure that we move this as close over. So I'm going to explain what I'm doing. This starts off like this. If we zoom in, we actually want to move this outer arrow. We're going to move it until this player jump disappears. And you're going to see like a little gray number right there. The closer you can get to 100% with that gone, the better the animation is going to look. And then this little arrow over here, we're going to move. I'm actually moving the mouse all the way over here, and then I'm releasing. So what's going on is this is actually slamming to where I have that first arrow because it can't go past it. So if you look down here, you'll see that this blue bar on top goes up to 100%. So what that is telling me is that it will play 100% of the player jump, and then we're going to take this player jump after. We're actually going to move it out past that. So you see how that says -10 or 18 or 20? I'm dragging it over here, and then I release. So this way, I'm making sure that this plays 100% of it, and then it plays the jump after. So that's the point of that. Now, you'll notice I don't have a transition from player idle to player jump. I'm actually going to go over that in the next video. For now, I'm just setting these up like how you see them. So I'm going to go back into scene. What other animations are we going to have? Well, we're going to have player attack. We're going to have player dash. We're going to have player jog, because the player can move, and yeah, it's more of a walk than a jog, but I'm just going to have it where she's jogging. And so we'll create a new clip, and this will be called player run start, player run max. And because I've done that, I need to move this window out of the way. So we have all of these that need to get put over here. And you'll see I'm just actually making them really, really nice. So here's what's interesting, is player jog and player run start, those will be identical. But player run start will actually go into player run max. And so this does have exit time. There we go. And it's worth noting that when the player starts off in a jog, they'll actually lean forward more than what you would expect them to. So I'm actually going to bring this window over here. I'm going to go into create new clip, player start jog. I don't know why I keep typing in job. Like, seriously, what the hell is wrong with me? And so then the jog, I can just move over here and bring this over here, make transition, make transition. And so what's going to happen is I'll play the jog state, and then I'll go into the run state, and it'll go to the run max. Otherwise, it'll just go straight to jog. This will actually have a slight issue. And I'm trying to think of a way that we can actually get around that. I think the best way is if we come back over here. Okay, come on, Unity. Create a new clip. We have player run start, but we need to say player run starting. And the reason why I'm saying starting is because starting will be over here. I'm really putting emphasis on that ting. So whenever I call this animation set, no. There we go. Whenever I call the run, like as soon as I hit shift, it's going to play this animation. It'll go into the run start, and it's going to be pretty quick. Like the start ting. I'm going to keep saying ting, so you guys just have to deal with it. I'm only going to play this for maybe 0.2 of a second, or 0.2, which I guess would actually be a third of a second, between 0.15 and 0.20. This is all that this first is going to start off with. And then it's actually going to go into player run start, and then that's going to play for roughly half a second, or however long I have the duration for, and then that will transition to player run max. So I'm actually going to use a thing for this. I forgot what it's called. We learned about it a while back. Blend states, animation blend, that's what it is. So I'm actually going to use an animation blend for these two, but that's how I'm going to set that up. Let's see what else. So we have attack, jump, dash. Oh, create new clip. We need player ground pound. What else? Player. We actually need a land. So this way when they land, it'll actually have some oomph to it. So I'm going to say player landing. What else? Technically, when we do a jump and then a jump after, the jump after will actually be considered to be in the air. but we may just do the jump after where she unsquashes, and then she'll do another transition. So I'm actually going to say player in air. Serve. Alright, so we have these. Let's go ahead and set these up. This one's actually, or actually all three of these are kind of important. So we have player in air, and player landing will just be down here. Now this is the one that I'm saying is really interesting. I'm actually going to make a transition. Make a transit. You bastard. There we go. So why am I creating a transition? Well, the reason why, because this will actually be a bool. This will be something that we call. So we'll say ground, pound, and M. And we're actually going to set this to true. And I know we're not going to have exit time on this, but this is just something I like to do for practice. So, when I say I know we're not going to have exit time, I'm talking about setting these up. These only deal with if you have exit time, but it's good to get in the habit of doing it, because there will be some days that you forget, and then you have to go through all of your animations to try and figure out why it's not working. So ideally, when she goes into the ground pound, she will actually go from one of these states, after she jumps, and then she'll play this animation, and then she'll jump right back to idle. But if you notice, I'm not making a transition from here to idle. There's no need for it. So let's see. The double jump is what we'll do is after she jumps, we'll have it play this player jump again. So I'm not worried about that. We have attack, dash, jog, running, starting, landing. I think that... Oh, slide. I forgot about slide. Create new clip. Player slide. Because that will allow her to get into smaller areas where she can't just crouch under. I don't think we really need a crouch animation. There's just not a need for it. Let's see. What other animations? You'd think I'd remember these because I made them. Because there is attack, slide, dash, and ground pound. I think those were the only 4 I made mention of. I cannot remember for the life of me. So I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to go into... What was I going to... Oh, wait. I can just go into my PowerPoint presentation. Look it up that way. Rev 3. So, energy blast, wall jump. Okay, wall jump's going to be an interesting one. We do need a wall jump. So, let's go ahead and do that real quick. Create new animation clip. And this will be called player wall jump. Save. Alright, there we go. So now we have... Where's wall jump? There it is. We have player slide, player wall jump. Both of those can come over here. I'm going to set those up right there. There we go. Nice and nested. So we're actually going to be calling these individually. And the only way that this one will ever be called, and that's if this is ever set to true. If it's set to true, this is going to automatically leave the state it's in and put her into the ground pound state. So that's the way this is going to work. And whenever you have solid animations like this, they have to be either loopable, or if you want them to be a static frame, then they have to be a static frame. If you want to play an animation and then go into something, so like let's say I want to play an animation where she flips around. So I'd create this, and I'd create another animation called player ground pound static, and have this transition directly to that, like I'm doing for the player start jog into the player jog. So the start jog will not be loopable. You'll be able to see a clearly different setup. Like she would have a bunch of jolting between the start and end frames. But player jog will be looped back on itself, so you won't be able to tell when the animation ends and when it starts. So that should be all the animations we need. This is what I was talking about as far as setup. As you can see, it is a lot cleaner, because if we would have done it the other way, we'd have this huge web, and I mean, it's scary to look at, guys. I mean, I lost sleep over it. Yeah, it's a bunch of BS, but you know what I mean. So, I think we're good with that. I'll set the blend states up later. So that's going to be that. The last thing I want to do... Okay, added health, start, got bored, want to get revision. Let's go ahead and... Well, I can't really work on the health, but I can work on the energy. So we're going to open up player health. We're going to take a look at this. So we have max health, current health. Good job. We have the same for stamina and energy. And then we have this health bar, stamina bar, energy bar. So we have health bar, and we need to pull those scripts up because we're actually going to be calling those. And the only issue with this is this start method group will be called every single scene. The reason why that's important to note because of the fact that every time they transition from one scene to another, they'll be back at max health. So we'll actually need to make sure that we fix that. So we have stamina. We're actually doing this off of keys. And is what I'm wanting to do instead is I'm actually going to call these directly. And so this right here is a public class, which is perfect. So I'm going to come into player movement. And we have on the on trigger enter, we're going to say if other dot game object dot tag equals anime, then what are we going to do? Well, first thing we need to do is we need to call that script. So we're going to say serialized field player health ph equals ph dot get component player health. And we're actually going to say, I believe that's ph dot take damage. No, it's not take damage. What was it? Ph dot, it is take damage, but we need to say public. There we go. And so we're going to say take damage, and we need to specify how much damage. And so we're going to say take damage, and we'll just say 5 for now. No biggie. So what about use stamina? Well, once again, those need to be public as well. Public. So we have use energy and use stamina. So stamina was with running and wall jumping, which wall jump we don't have, but energy on the other hand was dash and ground smash. We do have those. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to come up and we're going to say so if they're dashing, which we don't want to do it with this, we actually want to do it with this. And so we're going to say ph dot what? Use energy. Okay. Use energy, and let's just take away 5. 5 sounds good. So let's see. Jump didn't, but running does. So we actually need to say we actually need to create an if statement, and we need to do a timer in here, but that's going to be kind of difficult to set up. So is what we want to do, and we can actually get rid of this debug.log. If they are running, let me see. We actually want to do a check to see what the running speed is. And we're actually going, either way we do it, we're going to need a timer. And so we're going to set this up very similar to how we set this up down here with the dash timer. So let's come up here, and we're going to set a running timer. Dash timer, running timer. And so let's come back down here, wherever the hell I was. I'm going to say, first I need to come up here and say running, not speed, timer equals 1.5f I think should be good. Or no, wait, we're actually going to specify that in the other thing. So we're going to say minus equals time dot delta time. There we go. And is what we want to do. is we're going to say if running timer is less than 0, then we will say pH dot use stamina. We're going to take away 5. And we will actually just set running timer equals, I'm going to say 1.5 F. So each time they run, they should get that. Now, we can actually do a check on these. Well, we can't do it for the take damage because I'm still waiting for someone to get me an enemy sprite. No pressure. But we can do a debug.log, and we will say stamina equals plus current stamina. And then we'll do the same thing for energy. Energy equals current energy. And so now, oh, and the other thing is, right now I should be able to right click and it should not take any, it shouldn't take any any energy from me. Hey. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. So we have this right here, and we're calling, from the player move, we're actually calling the player health, but we never specified what it was. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And modify component, apply to prefab. I'm also going to do the same thing down here, because these look kind of dark and I don't know why. So there we go. We shouldn't have any more errors now. This should fix it. So if I right click, we're not getting any warning saying like, hey, you're taking away energy. But now you can see that every time I use dash, it is taken away. And now that I'm full running speed, you can see that that is taking away my stamina. Fuck off. Alright, so we've gotten that to work. So running's taken away from that. And it only does it if you hold down left shift. But we also want to do a check to see if we're at maximum running speed. So we're going to say if running, you bastard, no, wait, yeah. Running speed is, I don't remember what the max speed was. So I'm going to say greater than 5 and running timer. So now the max speed has to be at least 5. And then it'll start taking away stamina. So let's go ahead and test that real quick. I should clear here in just a second. So I'm going to hit play. So there will be an issue. If I hold down shift, well, actually that issue's gone away because now I'm doing a check to see how fast she's running. But see, it did not appear right away. It actually takes it a second before it will appear. And the player can actually... fuck off. Okay, but the player can actually, like, tap the keyboard, but once they hold it down, then it'll start taking away. So if the player's skilled enough, they can actually tap the running button, and they'll be good. And as you can see, this does take away. Now we need to set it up where we're at 0 energy. Now we're at -5, -10, -15. So that's the next thing we'll need to set up. Inside of player health, we're going to say if current stamina equals, actually I'm going to say is less than or equal to 0, then we will say take damage. Take damage, I'm just going to say 5. So we'll need to set that up so this way we can actually call on a float and change that float. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to say if current energy is less than or equal to 0, we'll say take damage 5. We'll save that. And so now is what should happen. You know, I just realized I don't see a health bar anymore. Could have sworn it was there a second ago. Health bar. Energy bar. Alright, so let's hit play. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's beautiful. And it's taking away health now. Sweet! Let's make sure that this takes away health. So I'm just going to keep holding shift down while moving forward. Any day now. Almost there. And now it's taking away damage. Or now it's doing damage to the player. Excellent. So that is now fixed. So we don't have... we're still getting net negative values for the stamina. And the way we fix that is we say... current energy equals 0. So each time it tries to go less than 0... it will simply take it back to 0. So we'll say current stamina equals 0. This is a little cheap way of doing it without doing a math F clamp, basically. So that is fixed, and that is all set, and that is all working. Yay! And I am extremely tired. Sucks because I gotta be up for another 5 hours. So, what's the next thing I need to work on? You know what? This video is going on towards 30 minutes. I'm actually going to stop the video right here. The next video, we're actually going to start creating animation sprites for the character, and then we'll start setting up their animations. So, that'll be in the next video, and I'll see y'all there.